Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Blair Arbuckle, and I'm the Director of Sales here at TPA Stream, and I'll be your host today. We're so happy that you're here and joining us. Today, we are talking about disrupting the way things have always been done with automated employer invoicing from TPA Stream. Just a quick note, everyone is on mute, and if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the question box. Today, I am joined also by Jacob Sheridan, our CEO and co-founder of TPA Stream. Jacob, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and the speakers we have today?
Awesome, thanks. Let's look at the next slide. All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jacob Sheridan. As Blair mentioned, I'm the co-founder and CEO of TPA Stream. Thanks so much for joining us. For those of you that might not be as familiar with TPA Stream, we're an insurance technology software company based in Cleveland, Ohio. And we are extremely focused on helping third-party administrators automate manual processes and win new business. We'll now pass it over to Mary Catherine to introduce herself, and then we'll pass it over to Ross Honig. Mary?
Hi, I'm Mary Catherine Tompkins. I'm with Admin America. We are a family-owned TPA located in Atlanta, and we specialize in the whole alphabet soup of COBRA, FSA, HRA, HSA, ERISA compliance, all of that fun stuff. I'm the Vice President of Finance. I've been in my role for about 5 years, and just as a member of our executive team, I'm constantly looking for opportunities to improve the experiences for both our employees and our customers. So this has been a great opportunity for that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Ross Honig.
Thank you, Jacob. Thank you for having me, and happy to participate in today's panel. My firm, OCA, we are, like Mary's firm, a third-party administrator. We do pre-tax benefit administration, COBRA, ERISA compliance, and all that fun jazz. I personally have been involved in the business, I feel like, since I was born, as it is a family business as well. But really, for the last 15 years, I've been involved on a day-to-day. We've been using TPA Stream for the better part of 4 or 5 years now, and really have utilized every single product that they have, and hopefully can continue to go down that path and really have benefited tremendously using their EOB harvesting and now obviously their employer invoicing. So happy to be here, and thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, well, let's get started. Before we get asking questions of our panelists, we wanted to start out with a poll. Blair, if you could pull that up. All right, so poll number 1. How much time do you estimate your team is spending on employer invoicing and billing on a monthly basis? We'll give you a minute or two to answer that. Blair, do we see the responses, or should we wait to later on in the webinar to share them?
Yeah, Jacob, we can give it another 15 seconds or so, and we can end the poll and look at some responses.
All right, sounds good. 15 seconds.
All right. Can you see the results on the screen, Jacob?
Okay. Yeah, I can. So a lot of folks indicated that they were spending between 10 to 20 hours or over 40 hours, and not too many folks in the middle. I think this is representative of what we hear from our customers as well, how some organizations out there might have streamlined the process, but there's still always opportunity to improve, and then others find themselves with very, very manual processes in place to complete this on a monthly basis. And so what we'll do first here, before we turn to our panelists, we'll just share a little bit about our employer invoicing product. And so for those of you that might not be as familiar with it, we created this product a couple of years ago due to so many customers of ours across the country sharing their frustration with their invoicing process, how long it took them to create and send out invoices to their employer clients, and then making sure that they recorded all that data properly in their various accounting systems. So when we set to build this product, we first looked at what data do we need to pull into our system from platforms like Allegis and Wex Health. And then we said, all right, what integrations are we going to need after the invoices are created with accounting platforms like QuickBooks, whether it's the online version or the enterprise version, or systems like Microsoft Dynamics GP. And then over the past couple of years, after we kind of took care of those couple components, we then started building a lot of additional functionality to support divisional billing, bundles and groupings, run out and carryover periods, retainer-based billing, support for different types of COBRA letters that you might send out. We now support NACHA file creation to execute bulk ACH transactions and many more additional functionality. So anyway, enough from me. Let's turn to our friends, Mary Catherine and Ross, to hear from their experiences. Why don't we start out with just talking about the process for sending invoices, creating them to your employer clients before using TPA Stream. Mary Catherine, do you want to kick us off?
Yep. So we would have definitely been in that over 40 hours a week category. We're probably billing roughly 1,600 monthly lines of service to, some of them to the same client over and over, some of them to, all over. So doing that was probably a 5 or 6 day process for me. In addition, I couldn't produce any detailed invoices, and honestly, there were times that I really couldn't verify the accuracy of some of our invoices. It was based on some calculations, and if those formulas weren't just perfect, then I couldn't really give to the employer great information about what their invoices were all about.
Yep. No, and we hear a lot about, one of the things you mentioned was kind of just the auditing, right? The accuracy and the detail behind it. Ross, would love to hear from you on your experience and if those, challenges you kind of, dealt with as well when you had different clients just calling and asking various questions about different invoices that they got the past month or maybe even a couple months back.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll absolutely echo what Mary said about the time it took and the reconciliation headaches that came from it. For us, and I think this is a universal thing amongst third-party administrators, is that if you work with an Allegis or a Wex, none of these platforms have an integrated or built-in invoicing platform. And so when you're dealing with that, then you're trying to look with whether it be QuickBooks or something else. They don't talk well to one another, and it just adds a layer of frustration and levels of work that just ultimately weren't necessary. Especially when you might be, if you're doing COBRA administration and doing pre-tax accounts and have 2 separate platforms. Now you're used to sending out invoicing or trying to generate it from one system. Clients might be used to that type of workflow, and then another with another platform. And so now there's confusion saying, I paid the invoice. Well, you paid the invoice for the HRA, but did you get the notification regarding COBRA? Well, I didn't know I had to do that. And it was a spiral downward, hassle that we just had to constantly deal with.
Yeah, it makes me think just back to the poll that we just asked a bunch of folks, if we should have asked not only how much time it takes to create invoices, but how much time do you spend after they're created, fixing issues, auditing, dealing with customer service calls. I think that there's a lot to this process that we don't think about when we look at the time that's required to just create them versus the entire time to actually manage this entire component of your business, which is ultimately how you collect funds and make money. So let's talk a little bit about how you started using employer invoicing and most importantly, implementation, right? Using a new software platform can be challenging. It can be a little scary at times, and implementing a new software platform can be one of the biggest challenges. Mary Catherine, can you talk to us a little bit about how you started using employer invoicing and your experience with implementation and how that process worked with our team? You're muted, I believe.
I pressed the button and it didn't want to go. Sorry about that. We originally were using the claims adjudication software. And so we've been on that platform for several years. And Blair approached us last year about, this new product, and is this something that we would be interested in? And we had lots and lots of nice conversations with Blair back and forth about, I had a billion questions for him, and Blair was, I don't know if he was happy to, but he was very kind in answering a billion questions for me. So we got things started within probably 2 months of our first introduction of the program. And it was a really easy, I'm going to say easy integration. The integration with our other admin systems, with our accounting system is really quite simplistic. And once everything is set up, it just runs rather smoothly. We had a very easy time getting the information over. I sort of want to hijack your question. And one thing that as our company has sort of difficulty competing with the giants out there in some ways, but one thing that we can do is offer customer service. And as that is something that we hope to provide, it's also something that we value a lot in our vendors. And the customer service that we have received from day one with TPA Stream has really been quite extraordinary. Blair and his team have just been great at, if I come back with a suggestion and I'm like, hey, this is something that I'm having trouble with, or, I think, and, that I could use help with, they're willing to listen. And there have been many times that they're like, that makes perfect sense. We're going to take it to development. They take it to development, and I have literally had turnaround on things being implemented within 24 hours. It's not on an 18-month roadmap that, hey, somebody will look at this at some point down the road. They do what they can to get stuff done as quickly as they can, and they just do such a great job communicating what my needs are as an individual company versus, they're definitely not out there saying, this is how it's done because this is how we do it. They're really willing to listen, and that's been a great experience.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, Ross, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think it echoes, I think, Mary's sentiment, which is the system itself, the user interface, it just provides so much customization, knowing that every TPA does things differently. The platform was built with that in mind, whether or not it's having minimums on a certain product, or having broker compensation included in it, or combining different bundle products into one fee and not counting it towards another. It allows full flexibility, and it's something that OCA and working with TPA Stream wanted to make sure that we were able to have at the end of the day. And again, to Mary's point, it's really been a partnership versus a client-vendor relationship, and that's something that we've ultimately valued greatly as we've gone through this experience. And it's just overall enlightened my team and made things much easier for us and ultimately our clients, which is the goal.
Yeah, and you mentioned flexibility, Ross, and we've talked quite a bit about the way that you guys grow in the broker channel and how important it is to you guys. Can you talk to just some of the things that you might hear from brokers or different arrangements that they ask you to support, and how that affects not only servicing clients but also kind of this invoicing process? Sure.
I guess I'll start in the past, which was, it was a nightmare when it came to our broker relationships, where many of our brokers brought us a client of theirs, and they have an HRA and they wanted COBRA, right? And the broker said, we're going to pick up the COBRA services. We want you to invoice us for COBRA, the client for the HRA, as an example. And on a one-off scenario, it's not a big deal, but as you add more and more groups, and that broker's now saying, I don't want to receive 30 pages of invoices, can you please provide a consolidated invoice? And we couldn't. It just creates headaches and back and forth, and then billing becomes questioned by them, saying, is this right or wrong? We're now with this platform with TPA Stream, it's consolidated, it's clear, it's concise, and it's automated in a lot of ways, which I know my team is very happy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks so much. All right, so we talked about invoicing before. We talked about the implementation process. Mary Catherine, would love to hear from you about the benefits that you've seen for yourself and your team, and potentially other stakeholders that either are bringing you business or potentially that work on behalf of your employer clients.
Yeah, I think that speaks a lot to what you mentioned earlier about the after the invoicing. As far as just the interactions that are required from our brokers and our clients to question what is XYZ, really big benefit is that the invoices are available online and are available, all of their invoices are available. So, I don't get the phone calls of, hey, I got my June invoice, but I don't remember getting that May invoice. Can you send that to me? They just go log in. They've got them all there available to them. So it cuts down that question. They have all those details of all the participants. It actually reduces a little bit of our liability, because when they see, how the participants are lining up, they're getting a monthly report of what their participation looks like. And so it gives them the opportunity to sort of audit what they think the enrollments should be, and sort of take a look at where there may be some issues, make sure all the communications are happening. So it's a nice little follow-up there. So in addition to just the time savings of the actual invoice process itself, the after effect is really quite significant.
Jacob,
no, that's great to hear. Yeah, please.
If I could add to that, the other piece of this as well is, historically speaking, in the past, my team had to spend so much time in just generating the actual invoice and trying to make sure that it's accurate and getting that out in a timely manner so that we can get paid. With this, we're now focused more so on the accounts receivable side and trying to spend that time, which we didn't have before, following up with clients, working with them, trying to get money back to OCA faster so we can go forward with their services. And that's just something that historically we never had the time to do, because we were focused on the first part of it, which is generating and getting the invoice out to begin with.
No, that it makes a ton of sense. And by focusing more on collecting the funds instead of just creating the invoices, right? We've been hearing from customers that they've been seeing cash flow increase, and there's been a huge effect on bringing down the amount that's owed to the organization, which can build up if you get a month or two behind. So we have time for one more question. I guess I'd love to hear the best feature or the best component related to the software that either was something that you expected or maybe was a surprise from your experience with TPA Stream so far. Ross, do you want to kick us off? That question?
Sure. Yeah. I think it probably goes back. Our distribution is through brokers, and there are definitely needs that they provide or request us, and our job is to make them happy, and obviously the client's happy. And with the platform itself and having the ability to consolidate invoicing, to parcel things out and have that flexibility, it's just been a tremendous help for us in building upon our relationships.
Awesome. Thanks. Mary Catherine?
Yeah, bouncing off of that a bit, and something that Ross said earlier as well, the customization has been a really big deal. It's just so much easier now. We can have clients, clients want invoices produced for them in 30 different ways. And we can now produce 30 different ways of invoices without having 30 different processes. It is a 30-minute process to produce 30 different things, whereas before, again, that would have been a 5-day long thing. So we have clients that want stuff very customized for them in every way across the board, and invoicing is no different. Their accountants need things set up differently than a large group accountant would need. So it's just so great to be able to flush that out to somebody. So that's probably been one of my biggest surprises, is just the really great ability to customize invoicing across the board.
Awesome. Well, no, that's fantastic, and it's great to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for sharing your experience using employer invoicing with everyone today. I'm going to hand it over to Blair, who's actually going to show you guys a little bit under the hood and show you a few screens within the software next. So Blair, why don't you take it from here?
Great. Thank you so much, Jacob. And, thank you so much, Mary Catherine and Ross, for your comments and answering a few questions for us here. Let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, so we're going to take a quick peek here at our billing solution, a high-level overview. And then we can, after we get through this, we can put up a poll and we can, get some feedback from you guys, and also get your information to set up a more custom demo and dive deeper into the solution. So with our billing solution, we've broken it up into 5 different tiles, 5 different areas, we like to call it. Sales entities. This is what we look at as someone that could be responsible for a portion of the invoice, or also potentially could collect commission based on a paid invoice. Our recurring fees. Under the recurring fees is where you can set up a recurring fee for a specific employer group, which will include all the services that you want to bill them on a monthly, quarterly, yearly basis. Contracts is a concept that we created for, it's very similar to like a retainer, so retainer-based billing. So, if you have a broker partner and you're going to be billing against, say, $1,000 or $2,000 retainer per month, you can set it up as a contract. Invoices is pretty self-explanatory, but this is where all the invoices are housed. Once you generate invoices, emailing them out, they're going to be housed here. Once you send them out to employers and brokers, you'll be able to see the status, many different factors right within invoices. And then commission reports. This is the ability for you to generate a commission report based on paid invoices. We're going to jump into recurring fees. I've set up an employer ahead of time. We're going to be looking here at Paper Street Soap Company. For this one, I've built some services around pre-tax accounts, so HSA, FSA, and HRA. After you do your initial setup with TPA Stream, it's very easy to come in and generate your invoices on a monthly basis. We have one employer in here, so it's super easy. We're going to go ahead and click on the 3-dot menu here. We're going to choose to select, or we're going to select Generate Invoice. We're going to choose our billing period. We're going to go ahead and pick May 2021. I'm going to hit Generate Now. And in the bottom of the screen, you can see a little notification that says your invoice generation has started. You will also, as an admin, receive an email to let you know that invoice generation has started. And then once all your invoices are generated, you'll get a second notification letting you know it's complete. We're going to jump back to our dashboard, and we're going to now go into invoices. As you can see, the invoice that we just generated in the previous screen has shown up here. By clicking on the invoice number, it will show us a quick view of that. We can click on View Invoice to pop that out. And here's what that invoice looks like. Again, it's completely white labeled with your company's logo, the appropriate bill to information. It includes a summary level of the invoice number, date, due date, and total. And then it gives you a breakdown of the different services that you're billing for that billing period. So we have an FSA and HRA stacked plan. We have a standalone HRA and a standalone HSA. And as we scroll down here, you can see under each one of these services, it breaks down the participants per service. You have options of setting monthly minimums and annual amounts per service. And the view that we're looking at now is, we consider this the detailed view. When this is sent out to the employer group or the broker, it is a white labeled email, which includes a summary level of the invoice. We also provide a secure link, a link to a secure portal where that employer or broker can log in after a one-time password setup, and they can view all their invoices and then see the details of each invoice. So they could look at it just like this in the secure portal. Once you would review your invoice or invoices, you can quickly send them out by selecting the three-dot menu and hit send invoice. You also have a few other options to send a test invoice, generate payment transactions. So that is once you send your invoice, you can do your notcha file, view it, print it, download it, edit the due date, void, and delete it. With our full integration to accounting platforms, the void and delete and adjust balance, it would synchronize to that as well. So if you're using QuickBooks Desktop, QuickBooks Online, Sage, Great Plains, it's a complete end-to-end integration. We're going to go ahead and hit send invoice. We're going to confirm that we want to send it. And then before I hit this, I want you to pay attention over to status. So right now it says not sent. As soon as I hit send, that status is going to change. And you can see that has been sent one time. Now, when the recipient receives it and they view it, it's going to change to viewed. And then it's going to track how many times that recipient has viewed that invoice. So, maybe you have a problem child employer group that says they never get their invoices. This is a great solution where you can see that Bob at ABC company has viewed the invoice 15 times in the last week, and he's late to pay his invoice. So keeps a lot of people honest, which is a nice thing. All right. So we have so much more functionality to show you guys, but we just wanted to kind of give you that quick intro. And, with it coming up here on 30 minutes, we want to be sensitive to your time. I'm going to go ahead and put a poll up for you guys to engage with so that we could get a custom demo scheduled with you. All right, I'll give a few minutes for folks to answer that poll. And then in the meantime, as we're coming up on that 30 minutes, if you want to hang out on the line with us, and if you put any questions in the chat, we can go ahead and answer those for you. Or if you have a deeper question, you can leave us your email address and we can reach out to you and follow up.
Awesome, Blair, this is fantastic. One of the things that, we've talked about with clients time over time is how valuable that invoice tracking is. Mary Catherine or Ross, I don't know if you guys have any experiences firsthand, with that tracking and working with employer clients that may have viewed invoices many times, but haven't potentially paid them yet. I don't know if anyone has a story or two to share, but I think we might have a couple minutes here.
I don't personally, but I'm sure my team does. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it's actually been interesting because what you'll have is somebody say, well, we've never seen this. Well, when they have multiple contacts per invoice, it's like, okay, well, you didn't, but this person did. And it's like, oh yeah, well, that person, maybe that person isn't here anymore, and they're just looking at their invoices that they're getting through their email. So that might be a good sign for us. Hey, let's get this person off of there. Or, it just, you constantly are getting bad contacts for various things. You're not sending stuff to who they want to. So it's sort of a good sort of punch to whoever you're talking to at the moment to say, no, this is where these invoices should actually be going. And when we told you it should go over here, that's not really what we meant. So it's a nice little help in that way as well.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, thank you, Mary Catherine and Ross. We'll leave the poll up here for a few more seconds here if you want to go ahead and answer that. If you don't have time to answer the poll, or if you want to just reach out directly, you can reach out to sales@tpastream.com, or Blair@tpastream.com, or Jacob@tpastream.com. We're here for you, anything you need at all. And just want to once again say special thanks to our panelists, Mary Catherine Tompkins from Admin America, and then Ross Honig from OCA. Thank you everyone for joining us, and stay tuned for communications for our next webinar next month.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care, everyone.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.